Betsy DeVos is going to be confirmed as the Secretary for Education, and she has a, let us say, very right-wing point of view when it comes to public schools and public education. And honestly, you know, it is what it is. She has her views. On the other side, you have these teachers' unions that are all the way to the left. The problem is that nobody is willing to move to the center. And what I call moving to the center is having accountability for everybody on everything, and an unwillingness to admit that your position may have some chinks in its armor, both on the charter school side and on the public school side. I'm going to play this clip from the Craig Melvin show, where he interviews the president of a National Education Association, and this woman represents approximately 3,000 teachers. I'll break it down as we go.
As a proponent of charter schools, voucher programs as well, she faces some stiff opposition from Democrats and many in the education field at large. Lily Garcia, she's president of the National Education Association, which represents nearly 3 million teachers in this country. You have said that DeVos's agenda is, quote, an actual danger to students. Lily, those are some pretty strong words. What do you mean?
Yeah, I was actually holding back on that. We are alarmed. We are appalled. You know, there are a lot of people out there, some good folks that we wrestle with all the time on the proper role for a charter school, an incubator of some innovative idea. I've seen some great ones. But what separates Betsy DeVos from people who actually want to do something good for public schools is she has this one trick. It's got to be privatized, and she's done it at the expense of public schools. She's actually taken away the private option. And more alarming than just
you're talking about what she's done in Michigan.
If we are going to be seeing in the United States what she did to Michigan, we should all be alarmed. Even people who say, I like the idea of more choices for kids, I like the idea of some creative charter schools, are appalled at the chaos because it's without any accountability. It's, let's just give the public school money to these for-profit charter schools, these unregulated private schools. If the parents are promised something and they aren't satisfied, then they can go somewhere else. It has been chaotic, and the price was paid by students in the public schools, but also students that were promised something in those for-profit charter schools. And when the parents said, "This isn't what you promised me in the slick brochure," she went, "Yeah, well, you made a mistake."
Lily, as you know, there's this Department of Education report that came out a short time ago. It notes that while some improvements in public school performance have been found, back in 2015, just 22% of 12th graders scored at the proficient level in science and math. That's just...
Now, okay, look at those numbers. 22% scored at the proficient level in science and math. That means that 78% of 12th graders did not score at a proficient level. That is appalling. That is abysmal. That is failing. If you took a test and you only got 22% of the questions right, that is a fail. That is a major fail. As a matter of fact, they probably would have you repeat whatever the course was that you took because of your numbers being so damn low. I mean, that is ridiculous. And if those numbers reflect the entire 12th grade, which it's supposed to, then we got a major issue here, okay?
Proficient level in science and math. That's just one of many statistics that came out of that report that doesn't necessarily portray our public schools in the best light. If our traditional approach, if it isn't working, and I think that we can agree to a certain extent that a lot of what we're doing isn't working, what's wrong with trying it a different way?
Let's try what's working.
Okay, see, and the Republicans do this shit and it pisses me off, and this broad is probably a Democrat, and she's doing the same thing, and it's pissing me off just as well. She didn't answer this guy's question. She's spinning the question, asking, well, because his question was, why can't we try it a different way? And she's spinning that question into let's try what's working. Well, apparently 78% of these schools and the students are failing, so that ain't working. So where the hell is the other 22% coming from? Let's try what's working. Answer the question as to why that 78% of the students are not proficient. Answer that question. But of course she's not going to do that.
One of the things we know is that we have the finest public schools in the world.
That is not true. That is absolutely not true. If you go in and do your own research, which you should, Germany has better schools than we have. As far as proficiency, once a kid comes all the way through, China even has better schools than we do. So for her to say we have the best public schools, no, that's not true.
You take a look at the well-resourced elementary, middle, and high schools. They're usually in the more affluent neighborhoods, but you go in and you see incredible programs in sports and the debate club and the majority.
Okay, and she's absolutely right about that. Well-funded schools their students do very well. The problem is with the funding. And funding for your schools, if you're not aware of it, come from property taxes. So if you have homes, okay, that are $1 million homes or whatever, there's a tremendous amount of money that is being generated for their school systems. If you have homes where the median price is $25,000 to $50,000, then you obviously are going to have a much smaller resource pool to draw from. That's why in a lot of these schools around the country, there is a lack of things like art and music and shop class and various other classes. But in the well-to-do areas, they have access to all of those things. So, she's going to try to make an argument about how well students are doing in all these schools that are properly funded. But in the majority of the country, schools do not have the same funding across the board, i.e. lower, medium, and high socioeconomic levels.
But the majority of our schools in this country aren't well-resourced.
No, not the majority of our schools. When you take a look at the majority of our schools, they're doing very well.
That's not true. If the majority of the schools were doing very well, then 78% of the students would be proficient at science and math. So she just basically told a lie there.
When you take a look at those schools that aren't, you really analyze them and you're going, wow. The inequitable funding in these schools, the service and supports in these schools, of course they're challenged.
But that's a local issue. When you start talking about school funding, when you start talking about school funding, Lily, we're talking about property taxes, we're talking about millage rates. That's a hyper-local issue. How much can the federal government really do with regards to inequitable funding?
Let's take a look at how they can hurt us.
Okay, see, and then she just did it again. She's not going to answer his question. The question was, what can the federal government do about the difference in funding, the funding sources? The funding sources are all hyper-local, okay? But she can't answer that question, so she's going to spin the question again.
When you talk about those statistics, take a look at those for-profit charter schools. They are abysmal. And so why in the world did we say, let's try that? We tried it. It didn't work. What we know works is equity, is a safe learning environment for those kids, and transparency. The taxpayers and the parents should know.
Okay, there's more bullshit. Okay, safety in the charter schools is found to be pretty much the same, if not a little better, than safety in public schools. So when she starts talking about safety, that's a bunch of crap. Now, as far as the transparency, okay, now I may or may not agree with her, all right, because at least you can walk into a public school and at least get information regarding what's going on in the school. I have a little familiarity with charter schools, but not as much as I would like in order to comment that they have sufficient transparency. The only thing that I would like to find out is what are the proficiency levels of charter schools across the country for their 12th grade students, and then compare that to the proficiency of the 12th grade students in a public school. That, in my opinion, would give me more of a barometer to compare the two with.
How their tax dollars are being spent. Those are things Betsy DeVos has fought against her whole life. It's why the charter industry in Michigan is such an abysmal failure.
Really quickly before I let you get out of here, one area with which you agree with Betsy DeVos. One thing, just one.
I can't think of one.
Not
I
one.
can't think of one. What I'm worried about.
And that's when you know that somebody is locked into their position, either left or right. She couldn't think of one. I can think of one that both of them should be able to agree on, and that is we need to do what's best for all of our children. That's an easy one.
Is privatizing special education, privatizing Title I. Those are the signature programs she'll be in charge of. She's privatized everything she could get her hands on. What about our special ed kids? They need those resources, and we believe that Betsy DeVos should not be our Secretary of Education. The senators should reject her nomination.
Lily Eskelsen Garcia, always enjoy your insight, always enjoy your perspective. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, unfortunately, her perspective is so tilted that it's ridiculous. She can't see the forest for the trees. And as far as teacher accountability, those teacher unions make it damn near impossible for a piece of crap teacher to be fired. So lack of accountability as far as the employees in the public sector, in my mind, equate just as much, if not more, than lack of accountability of charter schools in their overall programs. So it is what it is, but this is just another example, and I hate to say it, of the Democrats basically locking into the education power base, and the unions are wielding way too much power. I feel the same way about another union, and you may know that particular union or unions that go all across the country, and their members wear badges and guns.